Worm farming and how to get started. If you have always wanted to start a worm farm but don't have the essential information on how to get going, then don't worry. Getting started in worm farming is not complex, and certainly not rocket science. You may have many reasons for wanting to set up a worm farm. For example, you may be interested in the fertilizer rich in nutrients produced by the worms, or if you are considering a constant supply of live bait or live food for exotic pets. Whatever be the reason, you need to set up a bin. The foremost thing to look upon is the container. To calculate an appropriate size, you need to measure the quantity of waste you are going to require to use for feeding. The depth of the container should be at least 6 to 12 inches. Wooden boxes or a plastic tote is considered to be ideal material as a container. After deciding the container's dimensions, you should prepare it for use. For use, the holes must be punched or drilled through the top of the container for permitting the airflow. Generally for this, two methods can be applied. One method is to drill holes into the bottom of the container to permit sufficient water and other liquids to drain off. Another method is to install a spout at the bottom of the container. When the liquid starts to fill up, the spout is turned on in order to release the fluid. While using the spout, you also need to top raise the shelf a little bit. The raised shelf may be made up of slats having various holes for permitting the liquids to drain into the container's bottom. Once the container is ready, check the bedding materials. You can make bedding using shredded or soaked newspapers, dampened leaves and cardboard. Don't use colored pages. And be careful not to drown the worms. You just need to keep the bedding moist, not soaked. No matter what the bedding material is, a small quantity of soil should always be mixed in. The best types of bedding for worms is covered in more detail at http://www.wormfarmworld.com. The container must be placed in an area which ensures optimal conditions. The temperature should be between 72 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. The placement of the bin should be in an area having access to rainwater. Once the bin has been constructed and bedding has been added in a perfect location, then add worms to it. This is the way to start your own worm farm. Gather some information regarding the addition of useful and appropriate worms for your farm. Red worms are supposedly the best for worm farms, but it's best to research on this before finalizing a decision. Undoubtedly, worm farming is beneficial whether it is done as a hobby or for a profit. So getting started in worm farming is really simple. You just have to follow the above-mentioned procedure. Once started, you should know how to sustain the quality by regularly maintaining the worm farm. Good luck with your worm farm.